Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Clara Rose. I, of course, am Clara Rose. If you've been with us before, then you know that every week I share tips, tricks, tools, interviews, whatever I think that you need to help you be a more savvy entrepreneur. And of course, if you've been here before, welcome back, my friends. If you are new, welcome. We're excited to have you here. I hope that we share something today that you find valuable and that will help you be a more savvy entrepreneur, business owner, professional, just to be more savvy. Today, I'm going to do something that has been requested multiple times. If you've seen some of my recent episodes, you probably know that I've been talking about Canva a lot. That's Canva, Canva.com, and a tool that I use regularly in my business and have for many years. I don't remember when I started using it, but in 2015, I was actually teaching people to use it because it's such a cool, valuable tool for the small business owner, the entrepreneur, the author. Of course, you probably, if you've been here before, know that I work with authors a lot and publish my own works as well. So, one of the things that I've been asked for repeatedly was how do I do a book cover in Canva? Now, simple stuff in Canva like flyers and postcards and, posts for social media, all of those things are super simple in Canva because they come templated, right? You can just choose the template that you want and then build it from there. So I'm going to pop into Canva really quick and just show you from the main screen what it is that I'm talking about. So right here you can see these are some recent designs that have happened in my Canva account. And of course, I do have a full-time social media person that works in here as well. So a lot of these aren't things that I've created, but some of them, of course, are. So it's super easy to pop in and find what it is that you are wanting to create by category. So here's a Facebook post or a Facebook cover, a flyer, portrait style. You can build your logo, you can build a website, all sorts of cool things by category that you can create. Now, if you haven't seen the very first Canva training that I did or the second one, the first one is like basics, which will walk you through step by step, kind of the starting pieces. And then the second one is a little more advanced, showing some of the other cool features that you can find. I also talked about having the pro account, which gives you some other cool tools as well. So I wanted you to be aware of those. So today we're going to talk about book covers because if you use there is a tool in here that says book covers. If I scroll over and I can find it, I want to show you what it is they're talking about. Here we go, book cover. So I'm going to click on this and let you see what it looks like. And you'll notice that it's just square. So what this really is the front cover. It's not an entire cover. So you can't create a complete cover in Canva with this starting point. This just gives you that very front cover. And if you go over to the edge, you'll see all of these recently used designs or ideas for what your cover might look like. So we'll just click on one and it pops it over. And then, of course, everything in here you can modify, including the background picture or the text. You're like, I don't really like that one. Let's change to a different one. So you can get yourself a nice starting point. But once again, this is literally just a cover of the front of your book. This isn't what you need if you're going to wrap your entire book, right? So I just wanted you to be aware of that. We're actually not going to keep that one. You do notice up here it says Untitled Design ebook. If you are creating an ebook and you need a graphic to go with your ebook, this is where you can create that. It's just a front cover, period. It's also where if you wanted to do some marketing material, you could create something here, download the PNG or the JPEG, whatever it is you want to take into your other software and create a 3D mock-up. There's some really cool programs out there to let you do that. I think DIY Designs is one. There's several that just let you do it for free, and it makes it look like a 3D image you can throw in your social media. I'm going to close out of that one because we are not going to save that particular one. And then I have two other things open. One of them is the blank. So I'm going to pull the blank up first. And this is the actual size that you're going to need your cover to be if you're doing a 6 by 9 book. So if you look up here at the top, I have it written 6x9 template, and then the actual size that a front cover, a back cover, and a spine in general is going to be for a 6x9 book. So I created this just simply by going into the resizing tab on the upper left. We click resize and just putting in the right sizes right in here in the width and height. There are tools out there that will help you figure out if you don't know what these sizes need to be. But think about it this way. If you have a 6x9 book, your front cover is 6x9 inches. The back cover is additionally 6x9 inches. Those are going to be added together, and a spine. So the spine is where your text is going to be read by people when it's sitting on the shelf, when they can't see that front cover. You have to make a room for that spine as well. Okay, so I just wanted to show you where you could go and just create something that fits. This is just a custom. I start here every time that I do a 6x9 template book cover design because 6x9 is the most common size book created. So I always start there. And then if someone decides to go with a 5x8 or to go with an odd size, which I never recommend, but you have that option, then we can just pull down our resize and make the size changes right there. Okay, so we're really going to, from training purposes, I'm going to hop over into one that I already have made from a recent client. So her book came out in July. Wendy's book came out in July, and I'm actually going to have her on the show one of these days to talk about her new book that just came out. We've tried a couple times to coordinate to get her on the show. It just hasn't happened, but soon, my friends, soon. So this book, Into the Light, um, a wonderful book. Get yourself a copy. You can find it on Amazon. So well written. She did a beautiful job. Tons of stories from ladies who are survivors of trauma and have found triumph in their life over it. So it's a woman's guide to healing from trauma. Okay, so let's talk about design here. These pictures that I chose for her particular design were pictures that meant something to her. So I'm going to double click on this picture right here. Now you can see that the entire picture, see how it's bigger than the page even. So what I did was I took a picture that she said, "Oh, I love this picture." And I used the front or one piece of the picture for my front cover, placing the little V from the mountains and the sunset in the middle, because I wanted to put something right in the middle that was going to really pop out, really stand out. But you can, of course, choose to move this around if you wanted to. This right here is, um, you could go all the way to the edge, and then your sunset would be off to the sun would be off to the left. You go the other direction and have the mountain in the background over here because it's completely movable. We just move it back and forth wherever we want. Okay, I don't necessarily want to, I'm going to cancel that because I don't want it to not be where it's supposed to be at this point. Okay, so I did that for a background picture for the front. And on the back, she found another picture that she really loved that had these beautiful flowers. So they're the same series of pictures that we found in Canva, by the way, um, that had flowers, the same color pattern, but it was a different part of the series. I loved the path um, because this is a journey book. It's about healing, a journey of healing. So I loved the path. I wanted to incorporate that. And I wanted the flowers to pull into there. So I just took a piece of that particular picture and dropped it on the back cover. Cancel out of that. So that just makes a nice continuity between the front and the back. Your picture doesn't have to span all the way from the front to the back of your book. The front can be a totally different picture than the back if you would like. I liked that these matched. That is just kind of the way I like things to be, but you can make whatever choice works well for you. Okay, so you'll notice that on the back, there's also words that we need to be able to see. So this right here, if I click on it, you can see that this is just a shape that I added. So I just went into the shapes and I found a shape that I wanted, remembering that I could stretch it in any direction that I wanted. So I just started with a square. And then these little tabs right here, you can just pull them in or out by clicking on them, pull them in or out. I'll undo it to make sure it's exactly where it was. Or you can make it taller, shorter. So keeping in mind, of course, that I have to leave room around the edges because the printer is going to be fussy about that. And if you get too close to the little red dotted lines that the printer asks you not to go over, they'll kick your cover out and say, nope, this cover won't work. So it's important that you leave some space. Um, and they're just going to trim off whatever they need to trim off. So I gave a little setback on each side, made sure the setback was the same all the way around. And then this particular square, if you look right here at this colored square, this is the color that I chose for a background behind the word so it would stand out from the actual picture, right? You see how busy that picture is in the background with the flowers and the path. We wouldn't see words sitting on top of that because it's so busy. So I threw a shape on top of it and then I gave it some color. And of course, you can make your colors as different as you'd like to make them based on all the colors you can choose from or having the actual code that you can pop in. So I roll over it, you can see what the code is. This is a great way if you're trying to make all of your branding look consistent, all of your posts look consistent, figure out which colors you're using and write down that code, the hex code, and just put it in all the things that you use, all your colors. Or if you have the Pro, which of course I have the Pro, and it's super inexpensive at $15 a month, you can see that my brand colors actually live in here for our two of our companies anyway. They live in here. So I don't have to guess the color or remember the hex code because it's already in my brand colors because I have the Pro account. Okay, so on top of that box, then I put another box, which is just a text box. Remember I showed you guys before over here on the left, if you click text, this is where you can pick some pre-styled text boxes, or you can just click on one of these sizes and it'll drop a brand new box in there for you. So I'm just going to show you that. Click there and I have a brand new box. I can do anything that I want with. Just grab it by the square, move it around, do whatever you want with it. Notice how as you're moving around, these little things pop up, these numbers. That's giving you spacing, and that is a beautiful thing if you want symmetry, right? So you want to know that your spacing is the same throughout so that it doesn't look wonky. So this is showing you that the spacing between trauma to triumph and your new words is the same as the spacing between our tagline on top and our butterfly. So those things matter to me. If they don't matter to you, then that's not as big of a deal. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this one because it is not something that I want. I can get it to go away. All right. It did not go away. Try again. There, went it to a little trash can. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you on here is the butterfly. Now this butterfly, I did find part of it, the butterfly itself in Canva. She fell in love with it. It matched beautifully our flowers, the color in our flowers. And then the butterfly is really symbolic for her as an author. So I wanted to pull this into her design. So I popped it in here and then put her title right in the middle of it, which turned out just beautiful. I tried to stay pretty consistent with the fonts that I used. I used, I think, 3 fonts in the design of this. Be careful to not use too many fonts. Sometimes people will go crazy and they'll have 10 different fonts and it looks messy, right? People might not recognize why it looks messy, but it's just because you've used way too many fonts. So stick with 2 or 3. That's just from a design standpoint, that just is like design 101 kind of stuff. So just stick with 2 or 3 that you like, and you can just use them repeatedly. Okay, so the spine, I've actually just taken another box. If I click on it, you'll see that it's just another box that I created with that same color, right, as the color that I put on top of this. And this is the empty space where I put the name of the book, the author, and then the Rosedale press mark, which is my company press mark, showing people when they just look at that book sitting on the shelf that this book is, oh, it's Into the Light by Wendy Parentow, and then it's a Rosedale press mark. Okay. On the back, of course, this is a description of the book. We all have turned books over and read those to see if we're interested. Something you might notice that's different about this back cover is that there is no author picture or author bio. Now, that was a choice that Wendy made as the author, which you're totally free to do, but for religious reasons, they don't put their images on things, and that's completely fine. So we left that off. Had she decided to put her picture on the back, it would have lived above the Rosedale Publishing press mark on the back. And then beside it would have been a small, quick bio. The full about the author is always in the back of the book, in the back matter, but it's great to have a picture and a short bio on the back cover for people who are curious about such things. And then, of course, you're going to see this white thing here with the price on it. This is called an ISBN number, and this is the ISBN barcode. So this is the thing that tells the bookstore that's selling it and tells the world who owns this book. So embedded in this code is the number that is assigned by Bowker nationally, saying who the publisher is, who the author is, when the book came out, all the specifics about the book can be tracked through the barcode. And then, of course, bookstores use that as part of their inventorying system. So, this is an important piece, and publishers are super picky about where it lives, where it goes. So, when you get this, you just need to make sure your publisher gives you the specs so that it's on the right place on the back cover. So, that's important stuff. But let me just move it for you. See, oh, there. It's not in the right spot now, so I'll put it back, but you can move it around. And just follow whatever printer you're going to use, follow their specs for publishing. If you're doing that part yourself, of course. Okay, so one more thing that I want to show you that I did for this particular author, along with her cover, is we took the butterfly and we just created another page right down here. I just added a new page. I think you probably know how to do this, but I'll get that out of the way. But if you look right here at the top, see the two little boxes? You should recognize that this is a duplicate page. Hit that. Now you have two of them. So if you want to mess with one, move things around, you totally could, and then go and just delete it if it didn't work out the way you wanted. So add yourself a blank page. This right here is her introductory page, or the title page is the technical term for it. When you first open a book, it's the first page that you typically see. Occasionally, a publisher will throw in a blank page to make the page count fit, but often it's just this page right here. And it's kind of some of the important stuff from the cover, like the title, the tagline, and the author's name. And it's just called a title page. So I created her title page right in here. Of course, when we saved it and put it in the book, it was a 6x9 because the title page just lands on one side of the page. And then between each chapter, I just took the same butterfly and put in each of the chapter names. So now we've created, for formatting purposes, something that creates continuity from start to finish in her book. So all 35, I think she had 35 chapters, all had this exact same butterfly showing up. And then I'm just going to 34, 35. Yep, it was okay. And then in the back, she had a conclusion chapter. So we added a butterfly for that. And then she had an about the author. So we put an about Wendy Butterfly. And then we had a resource because it's a self help of sorts book. And so we wanted a place to put really great reference material for her readers that might want something more out of it. So it gives them places, like hotlines to call and trauma related stuff for sure, but then also some other great resources. Wendy is a very successful real estate investor as well. And so where she learned real estate investing is in the back of the book. So you can look that up. She is a part of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network, and that is in the back. And if you have been following my show for very long, you may well have seen that I had the founder of the Real Estate Investors Network, Teresa Todd, on the show in the past. It's been a couple years, but anyway. Okay, so what else do we need to know about the cover? I'm going to say the most important part is your spacing, right? So understanding that your 6x9 cover is 6x9 on one side and 6x9 on the other side, and then this spine in the middle. Now, you might say, all right, Claire, how do I know how big the spine should be? Well, the spine is dictated by the number of pages that is going in your book. If it's a super skinny book because it's a low content or you just didn't have a lot to say, then you will lose the ability to have a spine. So you've probably all seen those books that were so skinny that they didn't have a spine on them that you could read it all. That's just a really low page count. Under 100 pages, you often lose the ability to have a spine. Um, Wendy's book was quite large. So if you're thinking this space looks really large, it was because her book had 35 chapters. So it was a beefy book. I should have brought a copy. I could have showed you how beefy it was. When I have her on the show, we'll definitely have a copy so we can point out how thick that book is because it's so big. So it looks on here like it's a super big. Um, there's actually the spine is a formula. So your printer, whoever you decide to use for your publishing, whether it's KDP or BookBaby or whoever you decide to use, or a traditional publisher, they'll set the spine for you. But in this piece of the creative process, there's a formula that you use. So you multiply the number of pages in the final completed manuscript by their formula, and it will tell you how wide this spine should be. It is often smaller than this, and I can even show you another book where it is significantly smaller, but that's where that is determined. And the reason that that's important is we really want the spine to stand out independently of the cover. So getting those measurements right is super important. What you will notice is that the overall sizing, that doesn't change, right? Remember, we looked at the blank one. Get over to the blank one. This 12.763 by 9.25. I can't see that. I think it's an 8, might be a 9. It's really tiny on this screen. So this overall size is what it takes to wrap a 6 by 9 book. The only thing that's going to be different is the spine size, and that's 100% dependent on the page count. Okay, I can't think of anything else on here that I think is super relevant for you to know other than just bear in mind that each of these pieces is absolutely a standalone piece. The picture in the background, each text box, each image that lays on top, all of the text boxes, all of these things are independent building blocks, if you will, that help you build out the perfect look. And the beauty of that is no two designs are ever going to look alike. They're just not. So your cover is never going to look like anybody else's cover, even if you both use Canva to create them. Even if you both chose the same pictures, you are likely going to use a different part of the picture. Maybe you didn't use the same butterfly because there's several choices. Maybe you didn't use the same font. So they're just not going to look the same, which is wonderful because as an author, we definitely want to be able to differentiate between our book and somebody else's book. And then, of course, the printers are always looking for ones that conflict. They don't want to confuse potential customers who are buying the books. So your name and your look cannot be too similar to somebody else's who's already published. It's a copyright issue, of course. It's not just about content inside your book, but the outside of your book as well. Okay, I'm going to just say this really quickly to you. If you're uncomfortable with creating your own cover and you want someone to help you create a cover, there are people out there that are wonderful at this. So I'm going to give a shout out to Danielle over at The Post Creative. She does a beautiful job of creating not just book covers, she creates websites, she creates social media posts. So if you're thinking, I need someone to help me with my stuff, all of my stuff for my book, but I don't want to, I just can't do this myself, or I don't want to do this myself, she is a great resource. And you can find her at thepostcreative.com, of course. She does a lot of my posts. So if you we just peeked over here, if you look at all of these, she does a lot of social media for us. She does a lot of design for us. All of this is stuff that she has done either for us or for others. So she does a great job. So I just encourage you to reach out if you need some help with that. Okay, we're at that time of the show where I just want to say if you are looking for something else you want to learn in Canva, I am happy to teach you. Shoot me an email over at hello@clararose.com and just say, hey, Clara, I want to learn X. And I'd be happy to put together a quick training for you, or for all of you, for all of my viewers. Because if you're wondering how to do it, other people are wondering how to do it as well. My goal here at Coffee with Clara Rose is to bring value to you every week, teach you something, empower you in some way, show you some new way that you can make a difference in your business, ministry, cause, or brand, and indeed can be a more savvy entrepreneur. If you are a one man show, a solopreneur, or even just a small business owner, you may well be that person that gets to do all these things. When you reach a certain size, then of course you can either outsource some of those things or hire an in house person to handle those things for you. But if you never grow beyond a solopreneur or beyond a little small shop, that's completely fine too. The tools are still out there for you to use. You can still compete visually with the big dog, so to speak. Right? You don't have to look like a small company. You still can be in the game, in the fight, if you will, trying to attract customers. Super important for anyone publishing a book that you have good, strong branding for your social media. And that's why today I wanted to show you how you can easily create a cover for yourself if you don't want to spend the couple $1,000s that a graphic designer is going to charge you for doing that. Post Creative is really inexpensive. You can always reach out to Danielle and she can hook you up. All right, my friends, I am totally out of time. I just wanted to say thank you so much for showing up here every week to share. It's just 30 minutes we spend together, a little less than 30 minutes, like 27 minutes. But I appreciate that you show up every week to support my channel. And I appreciate that you're here giving me the opportunity to drop some knowledge on you. I thank you for always being here for me. So, anyway, thank you so much. I'm out of time. I will see you next week, hopefully with a fabulous guest. See you soon. Take care.